Welcome to another Elixir event, and today we've got Sarah back and we're going to be talking about heart disease. And heart disease is one of the single biggest killers in the UK, and the heartbreaking fact, every pun intended, is that a lot of these are highly preventable just by looking after ourselves and doing the right things. So we're going to talk about some of that. We're going to talk about the importance of health. We're going to talk about the different types of heart disorders that you can have, what are the signs of an unhealthy heart, and what we can do to and then what we can do to protect and improve our heart moving forward. So we're not going to be too long today, but we are going to be give you a good introduction of how you can help your heart. So first question, again, Sarah, I'll just let you introduce yourself quickly. We have seen you on a few other videos.
Yes.
Over to you.
Thank you. So yes, hi everyone, Sara Kirkham here, so resident nutritionist at Elixir Health Food Store. And yeah, heart health is it's one of the more common things that I do see people for. It unfortunately is quite common. I think one of the most common things that people will probably recognise are issues with blood pressure, high blood pressure, and also cholesterol. There are lots of different types of what we call heart disease or cardiovascular disease. So that term cardiovascular actually covers everything. So cardio, that term means to do with the heart, and vascular means to do with the blood vessels. And so of course you can get issues with the heart itself. So congenital heart disease, for instance, which might be something that you're actually born with, or an issue within the heart, such as calcification in the valves in the heart, or blockages in the small blood vessels in the heart. So these are blood vessels that actually feed the heart with nutrients and oxygen. So blockage in some of those smaller vessels will cause something called angina, for instance.
When we talk about calcification, Sarah, what causes that? What causes those veins to get blocked? What's happening?
So, yeah, calcification is sort of as it sounds. So it's where calcium has been laid down in the artery wall. So both inside the heart and for all of the blood vessels in the body, we want the artery walls, or the venous walls, the vein walls as well, but more so the artery walls because they're under a lot more pressure. We want them to be really nice and flexible. So whenever there is an increase in blood pressure, they can withstand it without any damage being caused. And there's a few things that harden the artery walls, and calcium is one of them. So unfortunately, calcium can be laid down in the artery walls and make them stiff and less flexible, and then that leads to damage. And then once you've got damage on the inside of the artery wall, as the blood flows through, you're more likely to get deposits of, whether that's fatty deposits, more calcified deposits. Of course, if you've got damage, you've got the immune system bringing mast cells and foam cells and all the white blood cells to fix the damage, and that creates a lot of detritus as well. So and then of course, as soon as you've got a build-up on the inside of any blood vessel, the gap for the blood to get through is smaller, so that then can cause angina in the heart, or a thrombus, a clot in the blood vessels, or what we call peripheral vascular disease, which is where, yeah, there's a narrowing of the space for the blood to get through. So calcification is caused by mishandling of calcium in the body, which doesn't normally happen in health. One thing we do need to be mindful of is not to take too many calcium supplements on their own. If we take calcium, ideally, we really want that calcium with something called vitamin K2, because vitamin K2, in particular, MK4 and MK7 are two different types of vitamin K2, that helps to take the calcium into the bone tissue. And I imagine if anyone is supplementing with calcium, the reason for that is probably for strong bones, which is which is good, but we need to make sure the calcium is getting to the bones and not depositing in the artery walls.
And there's plenty of ways of getting strong bones without taking, without ingesting calcium. You know, just walking and helping, you know, with the thud on the floor is enough to strengthen your bones and enable them to grow properly. So we need to be very conscious then of the levels of calcium that we're taking into our diet. And that will help with, well, blood pressure. It'll help with reduction of cholesterol in the blood as well. What else are we looking at there that can help us from what we're eating, what we're taking into our bodies to help with that?
Well, we don't need to worry about calcium in the diet, because that calcium generally comes with magnesium, which really helps with the balance of calcium magnesium. Magnesium can help with calcium handling as well. And very often where you've got calcium in a food, you've also got magnesium. So if we think about calcium rich sources such as dairy produce, dark green leafy vegetables, nuts and seeds, beans and pulses, they've all got magnesium in as well. So nature typically always just brings the nutrients together that work together. They're all really good foods to get calcium in the diet. And exercise, which you mentioned before, Neil, is really good, not only to prevent osteoporosis, but of course that's good for heart health as well. So regular cardiovascular exercise is a really key point, you know, with good heart health. It helps to keep the blood flowing at a slightly higher level, so that helps to just keep the possibility of deposits on the inside of the artery walls down at a slightly lower level. But of course, if someone's got an existing heart condition or cardiovascular condition, they should, you know, check with the doctor before they take up new exercise.
And let's be clear on this as well. When we're talking about new exercise, and I come across this quite a lot in the shop, we're not talking about going out on a 12-mile run or starting boxing or starting to do, you know, an hour of cardio exercise in the morning when you wake up. Just going for a walk, a nice, fast, quick walk, even for half an hour, is absolutely fine. And that is a good way of improving your heart health. In fact, it's probably a better way of doing it as well, because you build up your heart slowly and then start to grow as you start, as your heart gets stronger, then you're able to do more as you go along. So it's actually a really good, strong way of doing it. I come across that quite a lot, so I have to interject.
Just keep it steady, and doing it that way as well, you're more likely to stick with it rather than going out and, you know, trying something that's too high intensity to begin with, and then thinking, oh no, I didn't enjoy that very much. So things in the diet, the most heart healthy things, we always are going to come back to fruit and veg, always, because they have a high level of antioxidants in them naturally. So vitamin C, for instance, is anti-inflammatory. That reduces any inflammation in the blood vessels. So vitamin C rich things, we're talking about, you know, citrus fruits, obviously, but also kiwi, berries, peppers.
Vitamin C is really important, because that is something that we don't get from our bodies. We don't just create it. It's something we have to ingest from elsewhere, isn't it?
Yes, it's one of the essential nutrients, so we have to take it in. And dark green leafy veg, again, another rich source of vitamin C. And then vitamin E, which is really important for heart health as well, which you would tend to get more in looking at the Mediterranean diet, really, for those, because you're looking at avocados, olive oil, olives themselves, nuts and seeds. You know, it always comes back to a healthy, balanced diet and just eating what nature has provided. So fish is also really good, and obviously part of a Mediterranean diet as well. Fish provides the omega-3 fatty acids, which I think a lot of people are familiar with, linking that with heart health. So the omega-3 fats, which are EPA and DHA, shortened version, are anti-inflammatory in nature. So not only good for cognitive function, but also well known for heart health, for reducing inflammation. And
And
also
that can
known,
help with lots of things, can't it? I mean, we're not just talking heart health there. You know,
yeah,
good quality omega-3 is going to start to help with joint pain in the future as well. And
yeah,
it's going to help
yeah,
with those bones not grinding together. They're going to have a layer of oil, if you like, between them
yeah,
that's going to
yeah.
enable them to move, as well as improving your heart health.
Yeah, fish oils are one of the most basic, useful supplements that I prescribe all the time, because they've got so many benefits. So
Mhm.
they're a really good general thing to have, and especially for people who don't eat fish as well, or don't eat fish regularly. So if you're not eating fish maybe more than sort of 2 to 3 times a week, then a fish oil supplement could be helpful.
Just to be clear, we're talking oily fish here, aren't we? We're not talking your battered cod down the shop. We're talking, you know, your pilchards, your herrings, mackerels, your salmon, your trout, you know, these oily fish.
Yeah, so they're the best fish to have, only because they have higher levels of these omega-3 fatty acids in them.
Mhm.
Whitefish does contain the fatty acids, so that, you know, cod, coley, plaice, that, you know, they would all contain EPA and DHA as well, but just not to the same level. So if you really don't like oily fish, you can still get the EPA and DHA from whitefish, but you just have to have it more frequently to get the same amount.
Mhm.
And of course, so supplementing with fish oils can help to reduce blood pressure, which is one of the things obviously we're talking about within heart health issues. So can vitamin C and vitamin E, and also magnesium. But I must admit, one of the most common supplements that I go to, you know, if someone's looking for a more natural way to try and reduce blood pressure, is beetroot supplements as well, beetroot extract, because that contains something called nitric oxide. And nitric oxide is a vasodilator. So that means that the blood vessels, when they have come into contact with something like nitric oxide, they open up, they vasodilate. And of course, that opening means there's more space for the blood to get through. And so the blood pressure reduces. Of course, you can eat beetroot, and beetroot is a brilliant food for so many different benefits. But sometimes it's just a struggle to eat enough of these foods to get the medicinal qualities, the therapeutic level. So a beetroot extract complex can be a really good option.
Yeah, really good. It's also really good for sports performance as well.
Yes.
So a lot of
Yeah.
athletes take beetroot extract for that exact same
Yeah.
reason. The
Yeah.
reason why you're taking it for your heart health is the
Yes.
same reason that the athletes are taking
Vasodilation.
it, but it takes them to that extra
Yes.
level, effectively.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So for elevated blood pressure, that they would be my main sort of go-tos. And food-wise, again, coming back to the fruit and veg, there's a very good reason why we've got the, you know, the guideline of 5 a day in our diet, 5 portions of fruit and veg daily. And one of the reasons is for heart health. Unfortunately, most people in the UK still aren't getting 5 portions of fruit and veg a day, which is why, even though certain organizations, certain cancer organizations, heart health organizations, World Health Organization have said we shouldn't be 5 a day, it should be 7 a day or 10 a day, the goalposts haven't been moved because we're not meeting 5 a day. So just getting those 5 a day in is a really first step, crucial thing. Just, you know, a portion is a handful size, dark green leafy veg. Go for the bright colours, go for a rainbow diet, and then that's going to give you naturally a lot of heart healthy foods.
Really good advice. Okay, so let's talk about the signs of heart health. So, you know, I see it quite regularly. Where you'll see a guy with a bright red face, you know, and you know that's an obvious issue. But you know, what are the less obvious issues that people should start to look for in their day-to-day life that gives them a little inkling that something's not quite right with their heart health?
Well, one of the main things might be, you know, a bit of breathlessness on exertion, because that can be an indication that you're not quite getting as much blood around the body to the tissues that needs it. So your body is responding by saying, actually, no, we need more oxygen. So maybe breathlessness on exertion. So, you know, going up the stairs or walking up a hill that you used to go up with no problem and feeling a bit breathless might just be a sign of not being as fit as you once were, you know, but it may be an early sign that it might be good to just go to your GP and get a check, just get blood pressure checked. They'll typically measure cholesterol as well, because that's a really common measure that we can easily get done. And if you can't, for whatever reason, get to the doctor, or you prefer, you know, to just do a private lab test, a cholesterol test is something that I do all the time with my clients, so we can easily organize something like that.
Mm-hmm. So you can do an actual cholesterol test as a blood test. In store, we're going to be offering blood pressure tests as well, so you can just come in and have your arm pumped, and we'll give you a reading as to, you know, where you are on your score.
So
between us,
that's a really
give
good
you a good
sort
idea.
of heart health MOT, actually, to get those two things done. So to get a blood pressure check resting pulse as well, and so I use various different labs for all sorts of different tests, but cholesterol it's a finger prick blood test. The blood goes off to the lab. We'd normally get results back in about a week's time. And what we're looking for is, we want the complete breakdown. So we want to know total cholesterol, HDL cholesterol, which is good cholesterol, LDL cholesterol, which is also known as bad cholesterol, and also triglycerides. So triglycerides they're the fats that just circulate in the bloodstream, mostly from diet. And we want those to be obviously at a fairly low level. And then we want the HDL to be, this is the good cholesterol, and it's called good cholesterol because high density lipoprotein, that's what HDL stands for, picks up and carries cholesterol from the bloodstream back into the liver. And once it's back in the liver can put that cholesterol into something called bile. The bile gets emptied into the gallbladder empties into the digestive system, and that bile actually goes through the length of the gut into the colon. Some of it gets reabsorbed, but a lot of it actually goes down into the colon, the fecal matter, and out of the body. So because that is a normal way to get rid of some of our cholesterol, because HDL carries the cholesterol into the liver in the first place, that's why we call it good cholesterol. Bad cholesterol.
So we produce that good cholesterol, just to be clear between the difference between the cholesterols. We produce that. That's a good thing to have. We need it. It's something to help us get through our digestion. Bad cholesterol is caused by...
Well, a lot of controversy over this, actually. That our liver actually makes most of the cholesterol in the body. So dietary cholesterol, which comes from egg yolks, was one, you know, the highest food high in dietary cholesterol. High fat dairy, animal products, basically. Plant foods contain no cholesterol at all. It all comes from animal foods. But actually, the amount of cholesterol in the diet, what we know now is that doesn't impact as much on our own cholesterol level as once thought, because a high amount, I mean, you know, 2/3 to 3/4, maybe even more of our cholesterol is made in our liver. So it actually comes down to what nutrients are we giving our liver, and how good is our liver health, and that determines what sort of cholesterol you're making.
Which directly affects your heart health.
Absolutely. We make the good cholesterol. We also make bad cholesterol. The fats you really want to avoid actually are the processed fats, trans fats, hydrogenated fats. So the sort of fats that you're going to find in ready meals, processed foods. And when I was doing my research for the cholesterol books, one interesting thing that really comes out in all the research papers is that it isn't the saturated fats that really contribute a lot to arterial disease. It's actually the more processed fats, but it's also eating too many refined carbohydrates. Because when we eat too many carbohydrates, and I'm talking about white flour bakery goods here.
Yeah. White bread, your pastas, your rices.
Yeah, and just too many of them in excess. Things like cakes and biscuits and muffins, the beige diet, as we call it, cereal bars, all of that. If it's excess in requirements, the liver actually takes the excess carbohydrate and turns it into fat. And the type of fat that is formed is saturated fat. And this is where poor formation of cholesterol can come from. So the LDL, the bad cholesterol that we make in the liver, the role of LDL is to carry cholesterol from the liver into the bloodstream. So that's why it's called bad, because that's bringing cholesterol into the bloodstream. Yeah. Having said that, the only problem with cholesterol when it's circulating, because cholesterol is a normal thing to have, we absolutely need it. Every cell in the body contains cholesterol in the cell membrane, and we need it in the cell membrane. We need it in the brain. You know, and there are certain side effects of having a cholesterol level that's too low. But the cholesterol that's circulating is not generally a problem. It's when that cholesterol becomes damaged or oxidized. So this is coming back again to the fruits and vegetables. This is why an antioxidant is so important, because that will help to prevent oxidation of cholesterol. So eating a rainbow colour diet, dark greens, bright reds, bright oranges, yellows, can be really helpful.
And that's a really good point, because we hear this a lot, don't we? Oh, you've got to get some antioxidants. You've got to try antioxidants. Advertisers have jumped on it and say contains antioxidants.
Yes.
And we buy it and we think, oh, it's going to make us healthy. But nobody really knows what an antioxidant actually does. But you're saying it directly affects our heart health, because it is effectively scooping up bad cholesterol and throwing it out of the body. And that's what an antioxidant in its a very crude way of putting it, but that's what it's doing.
Yeah, and an antioxidant in the body, in the human body, we've got all these reactions called reduction and oxidation, and it happens all the time, very naturally. But yeah, we just don't want too much oxidation, because something that's oxidized is damaged. So we want to be able to prevent that oxidative damage. And that is when we talk about cellular damage, that's very often oxidative damage. And of course, the arteries, inside the arteries, they're lined with cells. So when we talk about oxidative damage, that could be damage to the inside of the artery walls. So yes, those antioxidants, that's vitamin C, vitamin E, zinc, selenium. We've got some sort of phytonutrients as well, so plant nutrients like beta carotene. Again, you're looking back to the brightly coloured bright orange carrots and squash and pumpkin, peach, nectarine, apricot, that sort of carotene, that phytonutrient. So that it's really, really important to get those.
Okay, so what can we do to protect and improve our heart? So we've talked about cholesterol, we've talked about the science behind a lot of the reasons why we get bad heart health. So, and we've talked about the supplements that we can take and the nutrients that we can make sure that we're getting into our diet. But we're missing a big one there as to what we can do. I think we've talked about walking slightly, but you know, there are specific exercises that we could do that are, you know, really good for our health.
Yeah, there's, I mean, again, in the book, Cholesterol.
This is Sarah's book, by the way, available in Elixir Health.
Yes, you have the first edition, and then I think you've got some of the second edition probably as well. Actually, not a lot. When I did the second edition, not too much had changed in cholesterol metabolism. We got a bit more information on the scientific detail of lipoproteins, but not too much had changed. And the key things are, you know, diet, the things we've been talking about, a Mediterranean style diet. Fish, for instance, can raise HDL, which is the good cholesterol. So that's helpful. And the healthy fats, so things like nuts and seeds, avocados, olives, olive oil, you know, quite a lot of research on olive oils showing that a spoonful a day actually really benefits heart health. So that's something you can drizzle on the salad, you can add to a smoothie, just take it, you know, as you know, a mouthful of olive oil. So all of those things help. Exercise is also helpful, known to keep blood pressure lower and also known to reduce cholesterol. And that's generally cardiovascular. So anything, you know, walking, swimming, dancing, you know, anything that you can do that's movement orientated. Another key thing is stress reduction, actually, or managing stress better, because that also impacts certainly on blood pressure and on cholesterol levels. So that's really important too.
Okay, excellent. So I'm going to end it there. If you guys want to come in and talk to any of the guys in the shop, we can give you a brief introduction into how you can help your heart. Get out there, get exercising, get moving around a little bit more, and give your heart a fighting chance. And then, you know, come in to start eating your fruit and veg. Let's start intaking magnesium, fish oil, vitamin E, beetroot, which is it's a real cracker. I take beetroot myself, and it's something that's really helped me. And then, you know, come and have a chat to us and see how we can help you get your heart healthy.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah, and
You're
we'll see you
welcome.
soon.
Yes, thanks.
Bye all.